Just time for the intro music. All right, everybody, it's a late night 11th Island episode. Releasing this as soon as we can so we could give you the breaking news on UFC Fight Night tonight. Ige versus Zombie. Brad, what happened?
Yeah, a little bit of immediate reaction here. The Korean Zombie beats Dan Ige by unanimous decision. It was 49-46, 49-46, 48-47. I think me and Chris, I had it. I don't know about you, 50-45 Korean Zombie. I thought he clearly beat Dan Ige. What did you have it?
I think I would lean probably more towards that score. Maybe give
Mm-hmm.
perhaps the fifth, either the first or the fifth round to Dan Ige. And I think
Mm-hmm.
there was some big power punch, especially in that last round where Ige got in some big
Mm-hmm.
hits that were really, I think, probably the most significant strikes of the entire match. But I think that
Yep.
first round, I mean, Zombie had that takedown, so it just depends on how much are takedowns really worth when you compare them to big striking, and
Mm-hmm.
I it didn't really matter because there's no scorecard where Dan Ige won, and I think that's all
No.
that really matters,
Yeah,
especially when
I
you
mean,
get into
Chris
5
Lee
rounds.
wasn't judging tonight.
Mhm.
Chris Lee wasn't judging tonight, so Korean Zombie was safe. Korean Zombie showed up. I mean, he was coming off the Ortega loss in the main event, so it was kind of important for him to get the things back going here. And I mean, Ige is coming off a loss too, but for Korean Zombie, especially at the top in the top 5 of the featherweight rankings, he needed this win to solidify his place there. And in all reality, even coming off the loss, he wasn't far away from kind of that title contention here. And I mean, he did exactly what he needed to do here. Put on a solid performance, leave no doubt about the decision, prove that he's still top 5 worthy. And I mean, as a fan favorite like him, there wasn't a finish, but there was a lot of leather being thrown around there. It was an exciting fight to
Mhm.
see. And I think Ige here too. I mean, he loses, so he's probably not going to lose a spot in the rankings. Obviously, he's at 8, lost to the number 4 guy, but he showed up. He put on good performance for a loss. I mean, he didn't get washed out, right?
Mhm.
And it shows that Ige also. I mean, Korean Zombie showed that he's top 5 in the division. Ige showed that he's can still stay in that top 10. Do you agree?
Mhm. Yeah, I think so. I think Ige definitely, the scorecard. It's so funny where you could get, for lack of a better term, naked mild. Like on
Mm-hmm.
our scorecards, Ige didn't win a round, and yet every round he was competitive. So the scorecard doesn't always tell. Even the scorecard that we got from the judges, where they gave Ige a few rounds, don't tell the full story of Ige. I mean, two
Yep.
things. One, he was able to get some really creative strikes in on Ige, or on Zombie,
Yes.
sorry. And then second, I mean, he was a very tough guy, or he was ultimately impossible to submit, and there was a lot of really close calls. So Ige can show that I can be uncomfortable on the ground, but I can still eventually get back to my feet, especially in that first round where Zombie was just sitting on him. Ige always found a way out, and there was a few
Mm-hmm.
times where, I mean, if you get submitted and then you go down, the guy gets the elbow under your neck, and then you get out of that, and then you're right back where you started, and the elbow's back under your neck. Each time it's harder to have that motivation, but he never let himself be submitted. I think that shows. I mean, when you're going up against a guy like Korean Zombie, that says a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
All right. Who is next for the Korean Zombie? Mind you, at the time that we are recording this, Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez has been canceled, but is technically they're looking to reschedule it. So when I ask you this question, make that assumptions for what happens with that fight, which you will.
Yeah, and I'm gonna think that there's a lot of things tied up in the featherweight division, and I'm gonna just go ahead with the assumption that, I mean, obviously Ortega and Volkanovski. It's not only that's tied up, but it's when is that fight gonna happen? And I think
Mm-hmm.
nothing's changing on the Holloway front. They're gonna try to make this happen, and especially because Dana White knows he has time to. If Holloway runs through him, there's time to kill before you can do anything else with Holloway. So I don't think there's a rush to get Korean Zombie into this mix. unfortunately, because I think things
Hmm.
just get even more complicated when that happens. So I think
Hmm.
definitely a fight to make is, and you brought this up, like while we were talking before, but Calvin Qatar.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. I like the Calvin Cater fight. I wouldn't be like if I wanted what I wanted. I would say Yair Rodriguez gets taken out of the Holloway fight. They throw in somebody last minute against him, and then Max Holloway and Korean Zombie fight. I think what's more likely is a situation where Calvin Cater comes back and gets a Korean Zombie because that's a. I mean, neither of those guys are going to get knocked out. I mean, they're like Cater, even in the loss against Holloway, showed that he's got a chin and he's a gamer, and that's a super fun fight,
Hmm.
and it keeps them both very relevant in the featherweight division. So I think a fight like that, and then if Cater needs more time, maybe a Josh Emmett,
Hmm.
because you don't want to. I mean, Korean Zombie. The problem where he's at is anybody above him in the rankings is booked.
Yeah,
So you end up going down. So if he's
and
willing to go down the rankings,
I think if
and you
you
don't want
did,
to free fall down the rankings
yeah, and
either.
if you did that tonight, or that's what he did tonight, and I
Hmm.
mean, he put on a dominant performance, but there's some vulnerabilities that were revealed. He
Yeah.
got roughed up in that fifth round, and Ige was smelling blood in the water. You get in a situation where Korean Zombie is easily becomes a guy who you're just going to build your name off of. And that's, I think, the
Yeah.
danger for somebody at Korean Zombies, the Zombies' point in his career and his name value, and what like kind of he's become almost a marquee fight night
Hmm.
guy. And
Hmm.
that's a dangerous thing, especially considering there's a great deal of time to wait if you're trying to be a contender here. Get in line.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
Dana White can just come up to him and say, I don't know their relationship, but you could just come up to Zombie and say, hey, look, you're gonna sit around, you're gonna take some time off, or you could get paid, and next thing you know, it's a year and a half later, and Zombie has completely gone to the brand of I'm gonna be a gatekeeper.
Yeah. No, I feel that. So who do you think for Dan Ige though?
Dan Ige, and that,
Because I mean, with the loss here, I think you're not giving him up at the rankings again. So I think, do you agree with me that he's got to fight somebody now below him in the rankings?
yes,
Does
no,
that
I
make sense?
I, I think totally. I think if not, maybe. Yeah, I think you got to give him almost a bounce back here.
Yeah, I would like in a situation because I think this would be a super fun fight. Another guy coming off a loss in Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos. I mean, the last time we saw him was that bizarre knockout versus Edson Barbosa. Now, I mean, you're gonna have Ige and Burgos who have both lost to Barbosa. I think match them up, it'd be a very violent, fun fight. It's one where both these guys are going to need a little bit of a rest after the last fight, so it's not something that needs to be made right away. It's two ranked guys. That's a super fun fight that you can throw in on even a main event for a pay per view. It sells with two bangers in the featherweight division that are ranked. I think that's a fun fight. Keeps them relevant. Again, keeps them in the rankings, keeps him in that picture of moving up into the top 10, and it's really fun guys that you want to put on the screen. Do,
Hmm.
do you do you like that idea?
Yeah, and I think, and as you say, like fun guys, the way I picture that is like I see that as a great prelim main event.
Hmm.
On a
Yeah.
decent pay per view. Something
Yep.
that they're hungry. Give them like it's a big spotlight. It's one of the bigger spotlights of the night. In a lot of cases, and it's an important
And it's
position to
the last
sell.
chance to sell the
The last
pay-per-view.
chance to sell pay per views, and I love the idea of getting. It's almost like a redemption island kind of fight where a lot of the times or people have something to prove when you put them in that spot, and both these guys are
Hmm.
in that situation, so I think it's a good fight to make.
I like that. All right. Well, that's all I got for the fight. Chris, you got anything else?
No, well, okay, one last thought, all right, and you can leave a
Hmm.
comment down below what you guys think. Okay, so that situation with the translator for people that didn't watch the fight that are coming in. So Michael Bisping goes up to interview Zombie. All right, he asks a question. Well, translator's not there. Right, so translator comes in awkwardly. Doesn't Michael Bisping holds the mic out to her? She didn't hear the question, so then she just stands there. And then Zombie's just like, oh, okay, I'll just say something. So he says something, whatever. And then as Zombie was saying something in kind of broken English, the translator leaves because she's like, "Oh, he doesn't need me." And then Bisping has to call her, "No, stay, stay, stay." And then they do the So, my question is, all right, and you can't really see much going on. All you see is Michael Bisping going up to whose fault is it? The translator or Michael Bisbing? Did Michael Bisping start the interview too early for somebody to reasonably enter the octagon? Because she wasn't in the octagon during the fight. We know that. That's the only evidence I have. So, or is it like, was she asleep on the job?
I mean, people leave their what they're thinking is in the comments. There's one right answer to this, and you can't blame the count. It's the translator's fault, I think. But on that note, comment down below what you think. Tell me why I'm wrong, or let Chris know your thoughts. Like and subscribe. Check out our videos coming at you Mondays and Thursdays, and we'll see you later. Peace.